everyone, it's Saeed.
And Robin.
We are here on Virgin Voyages Resilient Lady.
Woo woo!
Just left this morning from San Juan, and we left this evening actually. We got here this morning.
Yeah.
And so we are currently floating on our way to the Southern Caribbean. And so just wanted to connect with you and share some initial thoughts, particularly around the food. We're foodies, and Virgin's one of the biggest claims to fame is the high quality of food that they have on the ship. And so our first dinner on the ship was this evening at Pink Agave, which is their Mexican style restaurant. And so just wanted to give some thoughts on that and share with you, what we ate, how we felt about it, and then our excitement going forward as the week continues.
And I want to back up a little bit, just those of you that may not be familiar with Virgin Voyages. On a typical cruise, you have like a main dining room that everyone goes into, and like there's a different menu every day. And then you have specialty dining that typically you have to pay for, or you get a certain limited amount per trip based on your status. So with Virgin Voyages, they do cruising a little differently, where there's no main dining room, there's no main buffet. Each restaurant is like a specialty dining restaurant, but it's included in your fare. So the thing is, you do have to make reservations. Well, it's best to make reservations each night for for a restaurant, so that you can get the restaurants that you want. Depending on the length of the cruise, they do limit the number of times you can go to each restaurant. So we're on a 7-night cruise for the Southern Caribbean, and we could book each restaurant twice, right?
Right.
So I guess the first question I got for you, babe, I know you were excited mostly about the food for Virgin. What made you want to choose Pink Agave for the first night?
Well, Pink Agave generally had the highest marks. When you look at other reviews of other folks on the internet. And so with that, why not start out with a bang? Pink Agave is, highly rated if you listen to the folks out here in social media. And so, why not find out if it is the best and at least start the cruise off on the best foot with sampling their menu. And so we were really excited about that.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of videos. We watched a lot of videos before we came, so we'd be aware. So we wanted to give a video to you. So as you're preparing, you can get our perspective, another perspective, and be aware as well. So the way the menu was set up, it was like broken into kind of like 3 components.
Like 3 courses in essence.
Mm-hmm. So you had small plates, medium plates, and then large plates. So let's start out with the small plates. What did you eat for your small plates?
So I got the esquites, which is grilled corn, and then the guacamole, which is basically like a tuna kind of ceviche, which is tuna, avocado, jicama, and then, seasonings, lime juice, things like that. And so both of them were good. I would say I probably would put up the corn a little bit over the tuna, because somebody has to, be last, if you will. But both items still were really tasty. One of the benefits, things that we noticed, is that they do cook everything fresh. And you could tell in the dishes, all the food that we ate at Pink Agave, you could tell that they made it like it wasn't a scenario where you're getting it off the hot plate because it's been sitting there for 2 hours. So that, I think, just enhances the quality and speaks to how seriously Virgin takes their food offering. So it was good.
So I also ordered the grilled corn. I do have food sensitivity, so I try to minimize and avoid dairy and eggs. And there was a little miscommunication at the beginning. One thing that we've heard about Virgin, they're really good about trying to accommodate for your different dietary restrictions. Had a little miscommunication, and my corn came out with the cheese, but we were able to get it fixed. It was no problem. She brought it back out without the cheese. So I just had this grilled corn, spicy aioli, and the lime juice. It was a good flavor. It was kind of like a charred flavor. I'm sure it probably been even better with the cheese if I would have had it, but it was a good accommodation. The other thing I had was the guacamole, and it was like a basic guacamole, but the only thing was the pomegranate seeds. That was something different that I really hadn't experienced in guacamole. To be honest, I don't know if it added anything to the experience. I guess maybe it gave a different level of like texture. It kind of had like a little crunch in it, but I didn't really taste a difference. But the guacamole, it was a solid guacamole, like restaurant quality. I really liked the tostadas they brought out with it. It tasted like it was freshly made. So I would say probably for me, I'll give the guacamole the top rating, just because for my small plates, because I was able to eat it as intended. I didn't have to do
make any changes to it.
Right. So that brings us to the medium plates, and you didn't order anything for the medium plates, right? So I ordered the
Papas con chorizo.
Yes, I'm gonna let him I'm gonna let him pronounce the words for me. So this was Yukon gold potatoes, onion and garlic, along with chorizo. And I will say this was probably my favorite dish of the night. I was surprised, but what I really loved was, and like all the food had different layers of flavor. Like the chorizo was just well seasoned. Then we had the onions and peppers to give that kind of like crunch. The potatoes, and I love potatoes. I shouldn't as much as I do, but I do. So it was good. That was like, it was at the top of my list for the dishes or the entrees that I got. So I loved it. I didn't have to make any kind of accommodations for that. Some of these meals did have like butter and things like that, but for me, I'm fine with that. I just try to avoid things like, cheese, milk, cream, that kind of thing. All right, so that brings us to our large plates.
Our main entrees. So I ordered the duck and the ribeye. Now again, if you're out there on social media and are trying to figure out if Virgin is for you, and you get to a video that's particular about their food, you will hear a lot about the ribeye from Pink Agave, again, which is the Mexican restaurant that we're discussing. So I did order both. Again, you might as well jump right in and find out if all the hype is true. And I would say with the ribeye, the hype was true. It was good. It was seasoned well, cooked as I intended. I asked for medium, and that's what I got.
And can you describe like the ribeye? Like, what was the dish? Was it just a plain ribeye?
So it's a ribeye that they actually add cheese to. I think the technical term, excuse me, is Acaxa cheese and then chili ancho on top. So somewhat simple in that way. It's not like a whole bunch of stuff topped off, but it's cheese, steak, cheese, and ancho. And the combination is good. Probably I would say I would rank it as the best overall dish that I had. It was good. It was tasty. It was flavored well, seasoned well, and like I said, cooked to the temperature that I had asked for. The other item was the duck, which was also pretty good. Duck can be a finicky protein if you don't eat it that often. But again, it was seasoned well. They also cooked that medium, so it had a good flavor to it. And it came with a smoked yam puree and a mole, which is basically like a sauce. Kind of probably reminds you of maybe a barbecue sauce of some sort. Together, and it also came with corn tortillas if you wanted to eat it as a duck taco, really. So again, it was very good, cooked well, and again, you could tell that it was cooked fresh. It wasn't a situation where you felt like the meat had been sitting out for a while. So the main dishes, those two, were really good, top notch.
And I tasted a little bit of his too. And with the steak, I tasted just kind of the corner that didn't have any cheese on it, because I wanted to see was the steak itself good, or was it the cheese and the sauce that made it good. But when I ate the steak, it was a solid ribeye. It tasted good. It was seasoned well. It had good flavor. It was good texture, like you said, cooked I think you had ordered it medium.
Right.
So it was, no complaints. That was good. I could see if we end up going back to Pink Agave, me getting the steak without the cheese, and I think it still would be good.
Would be good, yeah.
And then I had the
Cochinita pibil. Yeah, it's
don't
pork.
know what that. It's pork, and a sour orange habanero. It was good. The pork itself, it wasn't as flavorful as tender as I was expecting, but it had a lot of garnishes that really kind of like elevated the taste. So it was like I think like pickled onions, some radishes, like it was just it was a lot of different textures and flavors that it was really good. And with every dish, like it was just kind of like 3 little pieces. So every dish I brought out, I was like, is this going to be enough food?
But it was good portions, yeah.
Yeah, it was good portions so that you could really enjoy each of the
dishes and not feel like, one of the biggest things, particularly if you cruise frequently, is most times you're at a buffet. And generally human nature is people pile on the buffet, and what tends to happen is by the end of the meal, you're about to burst, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. And so with Virgin, at least from our first, day here, it seems like they try to be responsible with the portion sizes, to give you enough, obviously, to be filling, but not so much where, like I said, you're feeling bad about it later.
I think you were able to enjoy each entree. It wasn't like, by the time I got to the last one, I was full. Like it was just a bit to leave you wanting more.
Right.
And you always can order a second entree if you would like. So I felt like the portion sizes were good. And then we wrapped up with dessert. And I was excited because typically being dairy free and egg free, well, minimizing both, it's hard to find desserts unless they have a vegan option, especially on other cruise lines. I usually end up just eating a bowl of fruit for dessert. They don't have a lot of dairy-free options. So I was pleasantly surprised that there was an option for me. And I got the
tamale de chocolate, basically chocolate tamales.
And it was good. Like it was kind of like how would you describe it? It was like a
tamale. Think of a tamale. It kind of looks like not quite a burrito, but similar. But it was made of chocolate in this case.
Yeah, so it was like a dark chocolate. So it wasn't a milk chocolate. It was like a dark chocolate. What I loved, what kind of surprise was when you cut into the middle of it, like it kind of had like some chocolate just kind of oozed out.
Yeah, kind of like a melting cake idea, if you think of that.
Yeah, and then it just had some what they called a fruit salsa. So like just little cuts of
mango and
kiwi and
fresh fruit.
It was just a little bit, just to have, like I said, they had the contrast and flavors all night, was just so good. And then I'm not even a big coconut fan because of the texture. I'm a texture person a lot with my food, but they had a little bit of like toasted coconut, and it was good. It just brought out a different flavor. And anytime I get to eat a dessert, I'm excited. And it was like just enough. It wasn't like a lot. It was just enough, like the contrast of the bright fruit flavors and the dark chocolate, and then like how it oozed out, and then a little coconut. It was a chef's kiss. I was happy with it.
And then I finished off with the chocolate tacos, or tacos de chocolate. And they were good. I think the thing that threw me off is it tasted like a portion of it was like a cookie dough. But if you go to the description, it's Mexican chocolate, canela, and then dulce de leche, which is they basically do that like a almost like a frosting across the top. But again, it was good. They gave you 2. And again, portion size was
and
good.
They weren't that big, just enough.
So just enough to get your little sweet fix, but not overwhelming, and it wasn't overly sweet in that way. And I think that's also one thing too is you're not going to have a sugar rush afterwards because you ate too much, or that they overdid it there. So it was good. It was tasty. Kind of was like a chocolate wafer taco, and then within it they had the custard or kind of frosting of the dulce de leche, and this kind of cookie dough-ish mixture kind of as the bottom. So I liked it. Thought it was good. So I mean, first night out, first full meal on the boat. Definitely, probably would rate at least at minimum probably 4 out of 5. 5 being like, excellent. Probably a solid to mid 4, 4.5. No real issues with the food. Service was good.
What do you think about, like, how would you describe the atmosphere of the restaurant?
Probably lively. I mean, by the time we got there, you could tell that's kind of probably was peak time for most people. Since tonight today was embarkation day.
And our reservation was what,
8:30. And so that probably was that peak time where most people probably had settled in and they probably now were hungry and ready to eat. So it was packed in there. I mean, you didn't necessarily feel like people were on top of you per se,
but the tables are definitely closed.
But the tables are closed.
Like, if you want to, you can sit and talk to other passengers if that's what you want to do. You don't necessarily have to. It's not like group seating, but you are close enough to other people where
to do that.
If you want to kind of reach over and talk. And I mean, you really can just hear everybody's conversation. It was, like you said, lively. It's kind of loud, so it's not like the best conversation if you're trying to like really have conversation with people. There were like big group tables around the restaurant, so it was like a lot of groups there celebrating like birthdays and things like that. Then you also had like our seating was kind of really close. They had music playing, so it was a really lively festive atmosphere. It was fun. Like I said, it was kind of loud. It wasn't we try to do some video inside, but you really couldn't hear because of
just of the crowd.
Of the crowd that was there. But one thing that I said when I was there, I said, I don't feel like I'm on a cruise ship. Like, I felt like we were just at a nice Mexican restaurant. Like, we were just at home going out on a Saturday night. So like, you don't feel like I'm at a cruise restaurant. It felt like an elevated Mexican restaurant that I would love to go to. If it was in our local city, I would visit regularly. It was good food, not just like good cruise food. It was good food. It was made fresh. They made effort in all the flavors, all the textures. Like, it was, you could feel the intentionality, I think, in the food. It wasn't just like mass cooked food. So we're starting on a high note. I hope that
the rest of the week, one of the dilemmas is, do you go for the bang up front and then hope that the rest of it keeps up, or will this be a situation, where you peaked at the beginning and now everything else is kind of like, so overall, I think
I hope every night we're not like
we
missed
Pink Agave
like,
but we will see, and we'll come to you as we goes on and give you our thoughts as we make our way through the different eateries here. But as we close out, I say night 1 Pink Agave, definitely, A plus. Again,
I agree with
out of 5.
About 4.5,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was good. So let us know, have you been on Virgin Voyages? If so, what was your favorite restaurant? Did you go to Pink Agave? What did you order? If not, if you haven't been yet, but you're thinking about a Virgin cruise, if you have any questions about the restaurants or anything,
put them in the comments and let us know, your thoughts, and we'll be happy to share, our experience as we go as well. So
yeah, so like I said, when we go on trips, we spend countless hours on YouTube watching videos, and everyone is so helpful. So this is our way to kind of pay it forward, and so that hopefully it'll help you on your next trip. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see our future videos, just to get our perspective. And I kind of say, like, when we travel, we're part of our interests are foodies. So like, if you like that foodie
kind of viewpoint, want to understand what is this food looking like, then you've come to the right place. So let us know, and we'll create the content that the people want.
All right, we out.
Peace.